Happy Monday, everybody. Um, Sometimes I lose track of days, and then I realized, oh, it's Monday. And this is the day that I love to inspire people with something for the week. Now, I know last week I pulled some cards, and I love doing that every week. Sometimes that happens for me. Sometimes it doesn't. It could happen randomly through the week. It could happen maybe every 2 weeks or 3 weeks. But today I pulled my own card for today, which I've been doing for the last little bit. But I felt into the energy of today that what I wanted to share with all of you, and it wasn't a card reading. I really wanted to do one because they're fairly simple and really delightful. And I know that I love receiving messages from cards, and I often think that others do as well. But what I felt into today, and often it's whatever has been coming up for me in my life or what I've been speaking to people about, and something that has come up for me is cord cutting. Now, cord cutting, I've been doing for many years. I can't even recall exactly where I learned about it. I can kind of think back to the threads of where I first was introduced to the concept of cutting cords. And I've created some of my own belief systems around it, and the way that I practice it and the way that it works for me, and everyone probably is a bit different. And along the way, I've picked up little nuggets from other people of how they do things, and then I have just figured out what works the best for me. So what I'm telling you today is not necessarily the right or wrong way. There really is no such thing as right or wrong, but it's just the way that works for me right now, and I'm always open to shifting and adjusting as I feel called to with my energy. But essentially what I believe cord cutting is, and to explain it the best way I can, I'm sure if you even look up energetic cord cutting, there may be other names for it, I don't know. It's really just energy and we're all made of energy, like everything around us, and this whole planet is made of energy. And it's really just energy that we have maybe connected to either another person or an experience, memory. Usually for me, it's I think of it more in terms of somebody else. And I mean, we have love cords and fear cords. So obviously love cords, we're not going to cut love cords because love cords are there and we don't cut those. But it's the fear cords, when we're exchanging negative energy or fear, we either come from a space of love or we come from a space of fear. Those are the two spaces that we can show up in the world. And we can energetically connect to others and others can connect to us. Now, it doesn't mean that we go around talking about, I'm going to, put my energy into you and create a cord. The cord is just, for me, is like, that's how I can visualize it in my head. And maybe you visualize it as a rope or some other type of thing that is connecting you to, let's, for example, say another person. So I don't do this probably as much as I should. I did this a lot more when I had more time, when I was nursing Wade. I did it almost every day. And what I thought about it was disconnecting those energy cords that are no longer serving my highest good, and that, like, the fear cords. And it could be with somebody specifically. If I had an idea of somebody that I knew maybe was irritating me a lot, or I was upset with, or they were upset with me, or I just felt some energy that wasn't coming from a loving space, either from me or from them. And it can go both ways. It could be in your workplace. It could be happening in your house. It can be happening, with family or friends or people that you don't even really know that well, that maybe you pissed off. Who knows? And I often don't try to figure out all the answers. I used to be somebody that was like, I need to know all the answers, but that just was exhausting. And it's just not possible. Sometimes we don't need to know all the answers. But if you have someone in mind, what my invitation is to you, if you have somebody in mind where maybe you are feeling an edge of irritation with, or they're driving you bonkers, or you're mad at, or you have a little bit of negative energy that you feel flowing from you to them or from them to you, I invite you to maybe think of this person. And what I usually do with cord cutting is I kind of go into a bit of a meditative state. So for me, it's easier to visualize these kinds of things when my eyes are closed. but you might be totally different. But I often will visualize this person sitting across from me, or kind of at least invoke their energy and their image of themselves around me. And then I intend for those fear energy cords to be severed and cut, essentially. Now, you can cut them any way you want. Like maybe you think of yourself cutting them, maybe they just get cut without any, action on your part. For me, I actually call upon Archangel Michael. I think I got that from somebody, I can't remember who, it might have been Anise, I don't remember. And so funny, he comes, my visualization of this, and it came right from the very beginning, is that he comes with like a lightsaber. I don't even like Star Trek or Star Wars or whatever the hell that comes from, but this like blue sword, and he like chops it. So you may have a vision of a spirit or an angel or just some other person cutting it. That's fine. And then once it's cut, I used to just cut them, and then like that would be it. And you don't always need to know where they are in your body, but you may actually feel it. You may sense that feeling. Like usually for me, there are a lot of in my torso, like in my belly area. That's for me where a lot of the energy resides for whatever reason. Sometimes they're in my back or my arms, but very rarely, mostly in my stomach area. So if you do notice that, then just those are things to be aware of. And now, once you've severed it or cut it so that it's no longer attached to yourself and the other person, it still could reattach, whether you do or they do, or it just happens. So what somebody, I think Selena told me, which was so perfect and powerful for me, is that you have to remove it. So sometimes I think of it like being removed, like pulling it out or intending for it to be released completely out of my body. I often intend for it to be released out of the other person's body if they are open to that. Maybe they aren't, and it's not my business. It doesn't really matter as much to me, but I just set that intention that if the other person wants it to be released as well, then it can be done at the same time. But I don't think much about what they're doing. I completely stay in my own energy and stay with myself and remove that. And then you need to get rid of it completely. So it drops to the ground, to the earth, and I burn it. You can think of it blowing away or washing away, whatever makes sense for you, that you think it's going to be gone, like not reform and reattach. And then from there, after I'm finished with that, I usually create wherever the spaces are, if I can even connect to where those spaces were that I removed those cords from, is I'll fill those spaces with love and light and energy, and sometimes a beautiful color that really represents love and light for me in that moment. If I don't know where it is in my body and I wasn't able to connect to where those cords were, no problem. I just like cover my whole body with that and intend for those spaces to be filled up. Our mind is so powerful, and we can create those intentions. So we don't need to think or worry about the details too much. I used to be one of those, well, what do I say? What do I think? How do I do this? Don't really worry about it, as long as your intentions are pure and clear, as in like you kind of think and intend for those things to happen, then believe that they'll happen, and they will. For me, when I've done this cord cutting, I've noticed a significant difference in sometimes in the relationship with this other person. And sometimes they even like call that day or the next day, and they're more loving than usual. Sometimes our relationship just seems more easeful after that. And I'm always in shock and think, oh, right, I did that cord cutting with them. I wonder if that's what it is. And sometimes those people go away, because if they're not in alignment with you and you have severed that energy cord with them, that fear cord, then they no longer have that energy attachment to you. So for some relationships, that may mean that, or even experiences, that may mean that energy is gone and is maybe not going to return. Who knows? I know that it's been super helpful for me in my life. If you have a practice that is similar to this or is like this, but you have some different variations of how you do your cord cutting, then I would love to hear, because I'm always super open to hearing about how everybody else functions in this way. And if you've never heard of it before, then cool. This might be another tool for you to use. And you know what? Just try it. Just explore. And there's no harm in trying these things. Nothing bad will happen. Nothing but but amazing things happen for me anytime that I do it. I even do it with my family members. Sometimes, I mean, we create those energy cords with our husbands or wives or children, and I often like just I move, I like totally release it all around my body, and sometimes my kids too, because they don't really understand how to do that yet. So as a parent, I get to do some of those things as long as they're okay with it. I always set that intention that their highest good is okay with this happening, and if it's not, then it just won't happen. So I don't worry very much about that. So I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, I would love to answer them. And I don't know if this is necessarily an inspiration for the week, but it's what I felt called to talk about today. So I just never know what's going to happen from week to week. And yeah, so tell me about your cord cutting. If you give it a try, I'd love to hear. And I hope you have a most wonderful rest of the day. It's a lot later than I thought. My boys take forever to go to sleep. Oh my gosh. I don't know if any other moms have that problem or dads, but sometimes it takes forever. But I hope you have a great day, and we'll talk soon. Bye. Namaste.